Fake HOA said he looked intimidating. He was in pain every day. The autumn breeze swept through Crestwood Heights, a suburban enclave where every house gleamed with curated perfection. White picket fences, manicured lawns, and porch lights that never flickered. At the edge of Laurel Drive, one home stood quietly defiant, not in its modest brick facade, but in the man who lived there. Caleb Monroe, a 35-year-old former Navy SEAL, had moved in 8 months ago, his presence as understated as the single dogwood tree in his yard. Caleb was tall and broad, with a shaved head and a limp that betrayed the titanium rod in his right leg. His face, weathered beyond his years, bore a faint burn scar across his cheek, a relic of a mission in Yemen. His hazel eyes, sharp but guarded, hid a constant battle with pain, physical and otherwise. Caleb was a man of few words, his days structured around routine to keep the chaos at bay. Every morning he'd emerge from his house in his old Navy PT gear, faded black shorts and a gray t-shirt with Navy stenciled across the chest. He'd walk slowly to his mailbox, leaning on a simple black cane, then sit on his porch steps, stretching his leg with methodical care. The gear wasn't for nostalgia. It was practical, loose enough to ease the pressure on his scars, a quiet nod to the life he'd left behind. A small Navy flag hung by his door, its edges frayed but colors vivid, the only hint of his past. Most of Crestwood Heights gave him space, sensing a story they didn't dare ask for. Most, but not Karen Dempsey. Karen was the iron-fisted president of the Crestwood Heights Homeowners Association, a 40-year-old woman whose sleek brunette bob and designer cardigans masked a hunger for control. Her voice was honeyed venom, her emails a masterclass in passive-aggressive warfare. The HOA was her empire, its bylaws her sword and shield. Caleb's PT gear, his flag, his very existence grated on her. He didn't smile at her block parties, didn't sign her petitions, and worst of all, he'd reported a broken sidewalk curb near his house, a safety hazard for his unsteady gait. The complaint was polite, filed through the city, but to Karen it was a direct challenge to her authority. It began with an email, sent to Caleb's inbox on a chilly October morning. "Dear Mr. Monroe," it read in Karen's pristine font, "your daily attire and unauthorized flag are deemed intimidating and non-compliant with HOA standards. Section 6.2. Your complaint about community infrastructure is also disruptive. Please rectify both or face consequences." Caleb read it over black coffee, his jaw clenching. He'd faced worse than Karen, RPGs, ambushes, surgeries that left him screaming, but her words cut deep. Intimidating? He woke every day fighting to walk, to breathe through the pain. He deleted the email, pulled on his PT gear, and limped to his porch, flag still flying. Karen didn't tolerate defiance. She summoned her loyalists, Patricia, a busybody retiree with a knack for snooping, and Derek, a tech bro who saw Karen as his ticket to local clout. At the HOA meeting, she brandished the bylaws like a holy relic. "This isn't about his past," she said, her voice tight. "It's about community image. That outfit, that flag, it's aggressive. And complaining about a curb, he's undermining our harmony." Patricia nodded, muttering about outsiders. Derek smirked, texting under the table, but not everyone was convinced. Priya, a 30-year-old librarian who lived across from Caleb, frowned. "He's not hurting anyone," she said. "Maybe we should fix the curb." Karen's smile didn't waver, but her eyes flashed. The next day, Karen marched to Caleb's house, her cardigan pristine, a tablet in hand like a modern-day scepter. He was on his steps, stretching his leg, the cane resting beside him. "Mr. Monroe," she began, her tone syrupy, "I'm sure you got my email. Your workout clothes and that flag are making residents uncomfortable. And your curb complaint, it's causing unnecessary drama. If you're so dissatisfied, perhaps Crestwood isn't for you." Caleb paused, his hand steady despite the ache in his leg. "Ma'am," he said, his voice low but firm, "these clothes help me move without pain. The flag honors my team. And the curb? It's a hazard. For me, for anyone. I'm not trying to cause drama. I'm trying to live." His words were measured, but they carried the weight of a man who'd carried bodies from burning wrecks. Karen scoffed. "Live somewhere else, then. And frankly, how do we know you're even a veteran? Anyone can buy a flag and play the part. The accusation landed like a slap, sharp and deliberate. Caleb's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing, just resumed his stretches as Karen stormed off, her tablet clutched tightly. Crestwood Heights was a powder keg, and Karen's words lit the fuse. Gossip spread like wildfire, dividing the neighborhood. Karen's allies amplified her narrative, posting in the HOA's private app about maintaining a welcoming aesthetic. Patricia whispered that Caleb's tough guy act was probably fake, while Derek tweeted, "Some people use veteran as a free pass to break rules." But others were incensed. Priya, whose father had served in the Indian Army, was furious. "She called him a liar," she said at the local bakery, her voice shaking. "He can barely walk, and she's attacking him for it?" Priya took action. She'd noticed Caleb's quiet resilience, the way he'd pick up litter on his slow walks, the way he'd nod respectfully to passing kids. She enlisted her nephew, Arjun, an 18-year-old college freshman with a passion for open-source research. "Find out who Caleb is," she told him, "not to pry, to protect him." Arjun, eager for a cause, dove into military archives, news databases, and veteran message boards. What he found would shake Crestwood to its core. November brought gray skies and mounting tension. Karen's crusade grew vicious. She slapped Caleb with fines, $150 a week for his intimidating appearance, and flag. When he paid silently, she escalated, drafting a new bylaw to ban military-themed displays entirely. The proposal sparked chaos at HOA meetings, where Karen's polished rhetoric clashed with growing dissent. Priya stood, her voice cutting through the room. "You're fining a man for wearing clothes that ease his pain. You're calling him a fake when he's clearly suffering. This is about your pride, Karen, not the community." Patricia gasped, but others nodded, including Elena, a quiet nurse who'd seen Caleb wince on his walks. Karen's response was glacial. "Standards matter. If we let him slide, we'll have anarchy." The neighborhood was splintering. At the community center, arguments erupted over yoga classes and bake sales. "Karen's out of control," Elena said, her scrubs still on from a night shift. "I've seen patients like Caleb. Chronic pain is no joke." Across the room, Patricia parroted Karen's line. "If he's in so much pain, why's he flaunting that flag?" The center's manager banned HOA talk, but the rift widened. Caleb stuck to his routine, but the strain was evident. His morning walks grew slower, his stretches more labored. Priya noticed the way he'd pause at his mailbox, gripping his cane as if to anchor himself. She and Arjun worked relentlessly, their research painting a portrait of a man whose sacrifice dwarfed Crestwood's squabbles. Arjun found a 2014 Navy press release about Lenanarns. Caleb Monroe, who led a SEAL team to rescue hostages in Yemen, taking a grenade blast that burned his face and shattered his leg. The Navy Cross citation was public, as was a Purple Heart record. A 2017 podcast interview with a veterans group captured Caleb, voice raw, describing the guilt of surviving when two teammates didn't. "I wear this gear to carry them with me," he'd said, pausing to steady himself. Arjun also unearthed a Reddit post from C. Monroe 85, written in 2018. It was a late-night confession about chronic pain, about nights spent staring at pill bottles, about wearing PT gear because it was the only thing that didn't aggravate his scars. The post was buried, but Arjun saved it, knowing it was Caleb's truth. Priya urged him to share it, but Arjun hesitated. "This feels like exposing him," he said. Priya agreed but argued, "Karen's ruining his life. He needs allies." Ow! They left a flash drive on Caleb's porch, loaded with evidence and a note. "We see you. How can we help?" Caleb found it that evening, the drive cold in his palm. He plugged it into his laptop, his leg throbbing as he read. The press release, the podcast, the Reddit post. It was like seeing his pain laid bare. Karen's accusations had clawed at old wounds, but Priya's gesture sparked something new: resolve. He called her the next morning, his voice hoarse but steady. "Share it," he said. "Not for me, for the ones who didn't make it." Arjun posted the evidence to the HOA app, a meticulous thread with links, transcripts, and the podcast clip. He ended with Caleb's Reddit quote, "The pain's always there, but so are they. I wear this for them." The app exploded. Comments flooded in. Shock, guilt, outrage. "Karen, you're a monster," wrote Elena, her words raw. Priya added, "This is who you're finding? A man who saved lives?" Even Patricia went quiet, her certainty crumbling. Derek deleted his tweet, muttering about context. Karen was apoplectic. She deleted the thread, citing privacy violations, but screenshots spread like wildfire. Neighbors knocked on Caleb's door, not to gawk, but to apologize. Elena brought homemade soup, sharing stories of her ER shifts. Priya organized a coffee morning, and dozens showed up, their mugs a clumsy peace offering. Caleb didn't revel in it. He just listened, PT gear on, flag steady, his cane a quiet sentinel. The fine stopped, but Karen wasn't done. She sent a cease and desist letter, accusing Caleb of slander for the public backlash. It was a desperate move, and it backfired spectacularly. Crestwood was finished with her. At the December HOA meeting, Elena proposed a vote to oust Karen as president. The community center was packed, the air electric with anticipation. Karen fought back, her voice shrill as she accused Caleb of weaponizing his story to destabilize her. Priya stood, holding the flash drive like a beacon. "Weaponizing?" she said, her voice clear and fierce. "You called a wounded SEAL a fake. You fined him for surviving. That's not leadership. That's cowardice." She played the podcast clip, Caleb's voice filling the room, raw and unyielding. The crowd stirred, then roared, applause drowning Karen's protests. Caleb rose, his cane clicking on the floor. The room fell silent. "I didn't want this," he said, his voice steady but thick with emotion. "I wear this gear to move, to remember. I reported the curb because I know what falling costs. You called me intimidating, Karen, but you're the one scaring people, scaring them into silence." He looked at her, not with anger but with pity. "You'll never know what it means to carry someone else's weight." He sat and the room erupted, not in chaos but in solidarity. Karen fled, her cardigan forgotten on the podium. The vote was unanimous. She was out, replaced by Priya, who promised empathy over enforcement. The curb was fixed within days, its smooth edge a small triumph. Caleb didn't celebrate. He was on his porch, PT gear on, stretching his leg, watching the neighborhood exhale. January brought snow and renewal. Karen's reign was over, her house on the market, her Bob rarely seen. She never apologized, but a note appeared in Caleb's mailbox, typed and unsigned. "I was wrong." It was curt, but it was enough. Caleb tucked it away, next to her first email, a reminder of a fight he hadn't chosen. Crestwood changed. Caleb's porch became a gathering place, not for sympathy, but for stories. Neighbors brought blankets, kids built snowmen in his yard, and Caleb shared fragments of his past. SEAL training pranks, the terror of that Yemen night, the names he carried. Priya became a regular, her warmth a constant. Arjun, now a local legend for his research, helped Caleb digitize his teammates' stories, creating an online archive that drew veterans nationwide. The turning point came in February, when the mayor invited Caleb to a Veterans Day ceremony. Crestwood rallied, organizing a caravan to the city square. Caleb, in his PT gear, was honored with a Resilience Award, not for Yemen, but for enduring Crestwood's prejudice. The crowd, neighbors, veterans, even a chastened Derek, stood as he accepted it, his Navy cross gleaming under the lights. Priya cried, Elena saluted, and Arjun posted it online, captioning it, "This is our SEAL." Caleb returned to his porch the next morning, PT gear on, cane by his side. The flag fluttered, the curb gleamed, and Crestwood felt different, less like a showroom, more like a community. The gear wasn't just his anymore, it was Crestwood's, a symbol that pain could be a bridge, not a barrier. And as the snow fell, softening the scar on his cheek, Caleb stretched his leg, saluting not just his team but the neighbors who'd finally seen his truth.